Right friends, welcome back once again to Learning Space Editorial Discussion. There are 4 issues. One is with regard to Ayodhya case, and I am not going to spend much time on this, and you can see this. There are 2 cases relating to, there were 2 cases in fact related to demolition of Babri Masjid on December 6, 1992, and one is Lucknow case, other one is Rai Bareli case. Lucknow case was investigated by CBI, that is against lakhs of unknown kar sevaks, and the Rai Bareli case was with regard to conspiracy charge against some of the leaders, right. And then December 1992, 2 FIRs were registered, as I have already told you, and subsequently in May 4, 2001, special CBI court dropped the proceedings against the accused BJP leaders, and subsequently the matter went to Allahabad High Court, and Allahabad High Court also dismissed the CBI's revision petition, and CBI subsequently moved the High Court, and now CBI subsequently moved the Supreme Court, and now Supreme Court revives the conspiracy charge against LK Advani and others. So, here 2 aspects. One is, if at all they are guilty, why there is delay of 25 years? Then, if at all they are not guilty, there are 2 aspects. The 2 aspects of delaying any case I am telling, if at all they are guilty, then why the case is delayed for 25 years? Or you can say, if at all they are guilty, the 25 years delay is definitely not acceptable. But if at all they are not guilty, then for 25 years they are on the framed charges and without peace of mind. So, 2 views comes to everybody's mind. Now, 2 important constitutional aspects, please do not forget. Now, Supreme Court revived the conspiracy charges based on 142(1) article of the Constitution. So, article 142(1) Supreme Court invoked this basically to do complete justice, right. So, 142(1) gives Supreme Court, in exercise of its jurisdiction, it can issue decree or pass such order which it feels that it is required to do complete justice. Then, if you look at article 361(2), article 361(2) gives protection to president and governor of the state. Here, no criminal proceedings whatsoever shall be instituted or continued against the president or governor of any state in any court during his term of office, right. So, article 142 and article 361(2), right. Then, look at the second important aspect, red blue ordinary. Now, bye bye to this VIP culture. In fact, the public representatives or in fact public servants, in fact the legacy of British Raj, one of the legacies of British Raj are taken away with the decision, landmark decision of Narendra Modi government. So, it is a bye bye to VIP culture. You see, end of VIP culture. Here the Union Cabinet decided to disallow the use of the red beacon on vehicles on India's roads. From May 1 onwards, only vehicles on emergency services such as ambulances, fire trucks and police cars will be permitted the use of a beacon, that is blue colored one. Only ambulances, fire trucks and police cars, this type of emergency services are permitted or will be permitted from May 1, that will be blue colored beacon, and red color it is totally banned. And now the center and the state governments will lose the power to nominate categories of persons for the red beacon distinction, right. So, why this is significant is basically this is associated with some status symbol in our country. The red beacon is associated with status symbol. At the same time, it establishes hierarchical position. In the hierarchy, I am high, So, indirectly it shows that British legacy is clearly evident. And status symbol, third one is unchecked official power. People with the red beacon, they should not be stopped anywhere, and the red beacon people feel that they are supernatural human beings. So, everything will go away with this. Then it is antithesis of the concept of republic, and they are synonymous with British Raj mentality, or you can say Raj mentality. So, Maharaja's mentality you can say. So, Maharajas, all those princely states have gone, colonial rule has gone, but the colonial era is still continuing. So, it will change the perception of the state and its functionaries. Basically, they are supposed to be public servants, but not rulers. The Supreme Court said 4 years ago that they are supposed to be public servants, but not rulers. Right? That means the transformation from British era has to be there from rulers to public servants, but that has not happened during the previous 70 years of independence. Right? Now, rulers to public servants, what our founding fathers stated. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru said, word people means all the people. I myself is a servant of the farmers. And Dr. Rajendra Prasad on August 15, 1947 said, those who have so far been playing the role of rulers and regulators of the lives of our men must assume the role of servants. So, the point here is that transformation from rulers to servants has not taken place. In fact, they are servants, public servants. But now they are working with this rulers mentality, this red beacon culture or VIP culture is basically the legacy of British era. In fact, the UPA government, previous UPA government stated that certain dignitaries and category of officials constitute class by themselves. It is not understood what is the meaning of class by themselves, and the officials denied any illegality in the use of red lights somewhere around 2013 or so. Right now, the government took right decision. Observations of Supreme Court. If you look at observations of Supreme Court, red lights symbolize power and stark differentiation between those who are allowed to use it and those who are not. There is a differentiation between red beacon light vehicles and other vehicles. There is a lot of differentiation which is not accepted in democratic country. Using vehicles with red lights have no respect for the laws of the country. Using vehicles with the red lights have no respect for the laws of the country. They treat the ordinary citizens with contempt. And the use of red lights on the vehicles of public representatives and civil servants has no parallel in the world democracies. So, these are the observations of Supreme Court, and now the important point is what more changes required in our country to come out of British legacy. In fact, the privileges which enforce subject-ruler separation must go away. Ruler, subject, the separation must go away, and they should become public servant. They should transform as public servants. The public representatives are allowed avoiding the security gate at an airport and a free pass at the toll gate on a highway, and this type of culture must also go away. And the power of official proximity. So and so is close to MP, so and so is close to MLA. This culture has to go away, and nowadays we are quoting the name of MP, the name of MLA, proximity to MP to get seat in school or college, at the same time to get bed in state hospitals and reducing waiting time. So, this entire culture must go away. So, important aspect is politicians must accept that they are the public servants, but not the rulers. right. So, let us complete this, let us go to the next one, trading away our digital rights. This is a very important thought provoking article. We are doing number of digital transactions day in and day out. Everything is nowadays digitally connected. So, what the digital companies are doing? They are mining this information, and it is pertinent when you look at highly populated country like India, 128 crore people, and number of digital transactions are nowadays taking place. For each and every small thing, we are into digital arena, and this entire information is tracked by digital companies, and they are establishing monopoly, and subsequently they are selling this information in fact. So, they are trading with this information. So, it is in fact thought provoking questions are asked in this article, right. Here big data, who owns it? Please understand this, and this type of question is expected in mains also. Here you see big data, it is the key resource in the digital space. Here we are doing several digital transactions, and this big data is freely collected. They are collecting this free data after each and every transaction, and it is mined from developing countries. Developing countries have got huge populations, so they are mining it, or you can say they are collecting it from developing countries, and they are converting it, manufacturing it by giving some smart name, and they are entering into digital intelligence in developed countries. So, they are collecting this entire information, and this is being manufactured into digital intelligence. Digital intelligence. What is big data? Big data is nothing but collection of this data, and after that analyzing it. So, this digital intelligence now became a big tradable tool for several organizations. The digital intelligence forms a kind of social brain. Why it is called social brain? Because the living habits of the people across the world, especially so in developing countries, they are being tracked. We do not have law of privacy, and we do not have data security. Under these circumstances, each and every action of us is being tracked by the digital companies, and subsequently they are selling it and marketing it, right. So, that begins to control different sectors and extract monopoly rents. If Google is collecting our information, our search information, subsequently it is marketing it, then who is stopping it? And who has given right to Google to trade with our information? Then similarly for other things also, if we take Uber for example, in fact Uber we are treating it as a network of cars and drivers, but it is digital intelligence. It is collecting lot of data about digital intelligence in various countries about the way how we are commuting, whether we are going by shared car, whether we are going by single car, whether we are going by some other transport, where we are going, at what time we are traveling, what are our living habits. So, entire information is being captured by these Uber like companies, right. So, this is a big data. The biggest question is who owns it? Further aspects in future, in addition to regular commercial aspects, most important aspect is in addition to regular commercial ones, social areas like education, health, agriculture and governance will lead to similar situations in future. Education, health, agriculture, governance will lead to similar situations. Now, it is important to frame who owns data and digital intelligence. Now, the need of the hour is we have to frame who owns data and digital intelligence and how their value should be socially distributed. Tomorrow's strategic or critical sections like education, health, agriculture, governance, this entire information will go into the digital marketing companies, or you can say digital companies, right. Now, the important aspect is how their value should be socially distributed. the important aspect is key data required for policy making must be available with global data companies. Here the important aspect is key data required for policy making, here that is available with global data companies. The basic question is whether the society or government required to buy data and intelligence even for crucial public purposes from digital companies. Now digital companies will have important data. Is it required by government of India to purchase data from some digital company? Because education data, health data, important governance data, all these things will be available with digital companies, and who owns this? And if government tomorrow wants the information, is government required to purchase it? So several questions are being answered here. So here data actually comes from our various social and personal interactions. Because of our social and personal interactions, data comes out, and here that comes over digital platforms. And does the ownership of the platform give corporations economic ownership of all the data so produced? So here, can corporations own that data for trading purposes? That is the question. Is ownership of data of sensitive sectors to be treated differently or not? So data like sensitive sectors, how to treat it, right? Here the article says demands are coming from developed countries. There are three issues: demands coming from developed countries with regard to global trade talks. Here free and unhindered access to the network running throughout our society to mine social and personal data. This is the demand coming from developed countries. In future, in global trade talks, the author is posing three issues. One is the demand, the first demand coming from developed country. This is the first demand. The first demand is developed countries are asking free and unhindered access to the network running throughout our society to mine social and personal data from every hook and corner. Then the second issue is ensuring completely free flow of data across borders with no requirement of local storing. This is being asked by developed countries. In the future global trade talks, these are the issues coming into picture. Here the second issue is ensuring completely free flow of data across borders with no requirement of local source storing even for sensitive sectors. Developed countries are asking for it. So the author is cautioning Indian government not to yield to these type of demands from developed countries, right? So the third point is demand for the exclusion from future regulation of all services. Developed countries are asking for demand for the exclusion from future regulation of all the services, right? This is issue number 3. Then the fundamental point is what needs to be done. Here India is a digital superpower, no doubt about it. But the point to note, important point to note is India's global IT business relationships. If you look at India's global IT business relationships are largely business to business, B2B, and this relationship is basically the principal party is abroad and owns the involved data. So as the relationship is a B2B, and our predominant business comes from countries like North America, or you can say countries from North America. So here the important point is the principal party abroad is owning the data, or you can say the data is totally going to the principal party abroad. And India has much native technical and entrepreneurial capabilities in the digital arena, and conditions are extremely good for developing strong domestic digital industry in our country. So India must resist any digital trade negotiations, basically it first build digital sovereignty and digital rights before it can begin negotiating a part of it in digital trade talks, right. So, this is the fundamental point. The final point is India, before beginning digital trade talks, it first build its own digital sovereignty and digital rights, right, and there may be demands from developed countries and India should resist all of them. Then let us look at this. Should we, important point is, should we privatize water? Water is a state subject, please understand, and this article is about urban water, distribution of urban water, and the important issue here is, should we privatize water? Is there a case for privatizing water distribution in urban areas? And please do not forget, water is a state subject and interstate rivers will become the centers subject. So, water is a state subject, please understand, and here should we privatize water? Here the first view is, no, we should not privatize water. Privatization is unwarranted, unjustified and unnecessary. Here we need a democratic, transparent and accountable participatory government. Here the author feels privatization is not necessary, it is unwarranted, it is unjustified, and let us improve the delivery mechanism in our country. Let us improve the delivery mechanism and let us ensure quality water to each and every citizen of the country, and water is a basic need and that is acknowledged by the judiciary. Water is embedded in the ecosystem. Water should not be seen as a commodity for selling. So, here the author feels we should not privatize water. The justification for privatization by the proponents, that means the justifications for privatization are coming because the public sector entities are basically unreliable. Corruption is one problem, quality of water, mismanagement of water, lot of wastage is there. So, because of all these reasons, some proponents are asking for privatizing water, but he is telling at present the privatization of water is not successful, and even it is implemented in piecemeal manner in our country. There also the services are being given again by municipal authorities. So, this privatization, the biggest problem is they do not concern about the citizen, their main concern is profit maximization, earning more profits. So, in our country it will not serve the purpose in diverse country like India. So, profit maximization is the only one bottom line for companies, and hence it will not serve the purpose in a diverse country like India. So, water is the basic need, it cannot be privatized. So, the promise that it will create competition and consumer will benefit will not hold good. He is talking about private sector. Private sector, they promise that competition will ultimately result benefit to the consumer. That is not correct. Basically, their main goal is profit maximization, and we have seen in the power sector it became monopoly and they are not amenable for public audit also. CAG cannot audit these private power distribution companies. So, under these circumstances, the need of the hour is, let us not privatize it, but let us improve the public water governance, and that is the only way forward. Let us improve the public water governance, and that is the only way forward, right. Then the other view is, yes, we should privatize water. Government is totally inefficient. Government is not able to treat the sewage. Government is not able to provide clean water. and 70 years passed after independence. Under these circumstances, let us privatize water. Basically, they will ensure 24/7 water supply. At the same time, sewage will be treated. So, in view of this, water must be privatized. This is the second view. Water is an asset of society and cannot be owned by the government. Here, government is a trustee for water on behalf of people. Government is trustee on behalf of people, and at present the government is not able to perform its role as a trustee efficiently. Government is not able to perform the role of trustee efficiently and responsibly. The next point is 50% of water is untraceable from the pipe system. 50% of the water is untraceable from the pipe system. Only few hours of water is given. That means there is a lot of theft of water. Water is being given for few hours in a day or few hours in a week. We have only 60% of the areas with pipe coverage. Only 4% has got metering. So, lot of mismanagement is there. Lot of wastage of water is there. And in fact, 38,000 million liters of per day of untreated sewage is discharged in lakes and rivers. And Ganga receives 12,000 MLD of sewage per day. 21% of the diseases are waterborne and 10 crore person days are lost every year because of contaminated water. And we pump enough water. 84 of the 100 nominated smart cities have sufficient water, but the distribution is the problem. To overcome the efficiency, let us go with PPP model, right? And in PPP model, public private sector efficiency can be harnessed, because in PPP what happens? Government regulates certain things and private sector's efficiency, these two can be amalgamated. That is the beauty of public private partnership. Then water can be metered, it can be made available 24/7 basis. So, telescopic method of charges, if we introduce a telescopic method of charges, then it will take care of below poverty line people also. And rights of giving connection can rest with municipal authorities. The sewage can be treated, it can be reused, and private sector can ensure utmost efficiency in serving the people. The basic point here is generations have gone by without getting benefits of clean, potable and tapped water, and it is the time to privatize water. Then the last view is fundamental points. Here the fundamental points are, we should regulate water use. Here there are several inconsistencies, or you can say we are facing several British legacies. India's most important water resource is groundwater, and it provides 80% of our rural and urban drinking water, as also industrial water, and more than 2/3 of water for agriculture, which takes up most of our water resources. So, here 80% of our rural and urban drinking water is coming from underground. And what is the problem? Underground water is regulated by the British era law. Here groundwater is ruled by 19th century British law. Here the private property in land extends to private control over water. And to extract groundwater, people are going in a competitive way, 300 feet, 400 feet, 500 feet, there is no regulation. And in several states, people are drinking water with uranium, arsenic, and because of mining of groundwater, both water table and water quality is falling drastically. So, the need of the hour is some law is required. Basically, people should be made understandable. So, what is the solution? India had 30 million wells and tube wells. For extracting groundwater, 30 million wells and tube wells are there, and it is difficult to issue licenses and monitor them. What happens if we give licenses? Then it will give rise to massive corruption. Basically, the solution is to recognize the common pool resource character of water. Water should be treated as a common pool, and persons should be educated to equitably manage their shared groundwater. But the biggest problem is this possible in our country? So, what is the solution? He is suggesting some solution, but there is need for some stringent law to prevent excessive tapping of groundwater. That is the need of the hour, because the groundwater table is going down day by day. The recently drafted National Water Framework Law states that the water is the common heritage of people of India and inseparable part of landscape, society, history and culture, and it is a sacred substance venerated by the same as divinity. People are equating rivers with divinity, and such a resource should not be privatized. So, we should not privatize it. Basically, the water must be held with public trust. You see, the state at all levels holds water in public trust for the people, and it is obliged to protect water as a trustee for the benefit of all the people. No one's use of water should lead to depriving anyone of his or her basic right of water for life. So, the public trust doctrine enunciated by the Supreme Court is to be ensured, right. So, this is the third view, basically creating awareness. Then in fact, certain rules and regulations should be framed so as to prevent excessive tapping of groundwater, and anyhow government must think about certain aspects, and here whether water is to be privatized or not, that is one issue. The other issue, basic important issue, is how we can ensure equitable distribution of water without problem. Right friends, with this let us conclude editorial discussion for today, and please do join for other lectures, and this weekend we will upload weekend modules. Have a nice day. Thank you.